Hello, YouTube friends, my Audit the Vote PA family. This is Tony Shoup, going to bring you a series of videos that we're going to call Expose the Fraud, because my new favorite thing is exposing politicians, political activists, and the like who try to pretend like there was nothing wrong with the 2020 election. They refuse to listen to we the people who are insisting on a forensic audit based on a massive amount of irregularities. And so I think these people need outed, don't you? One thing that I have learned in my political journey over the last year is that the only thing that the swamp seems to fear is being exposed. They're not used to being challenged, they're not used to being called out on the carpet, and they don't want anybody looking below the surface. And so I'm going to do a series of videos where that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, let me be clear on one thing. I'm not in any way mean necessarily to bash the person that I'm talking about. I am sure, I shouldn't say I'm sure they're a good person, but this is how God views everybody. He loves everybody. Nobody is too far gone for salvation if they accept Christ into their heart and they repent and they're sorry for their sins. So nobody is too far gone for that. So I'm not going to bash the individual, but what we are going to expose is the decisions that they have made in their political career, because you and I, if you're watching this video, especially if you're a Pennsylvania resident, you and I are essentially their bosses. Did you know that? I bet you didn't know that. Our House representatives and our senators are essentially our employees, a government of the people, for the people, by the people, meaning that our tax money is how their salaries get paid and where they get all their money to do anything that they want to do in our state. Therefore, we are their boss. Now, we don't have to be jerks about it, but every now and again, I think it's time for a performance review. So that's exactly how we're going to look at it. Let me ask you something. If you have a job, would you still have a job if you were not performing your duties to the fullest of your abilities, or if you were, I don't know, say embezzling money from people that were paying you, or stealing in any way, shape, or form, or if your boss came to you and said, I would like you to do this, and you did the total opposite instead, or you just ignored people? How long would you have a job for? Probably not very long. So we are going to do a deep dive into our employees working for the state of Pennsylvania. I'm going to start with at least one, maybe two tonight. I'm even going to try to screen share so I can show you who they are. The first one, we're going to start kind of slow. I'm not going to call this guy a swamp critter because I'm not 100% that he's total deep state swamp, but he is definitely not for we the people. And his name is Representative Bob Brooks. Representative Bob Brooks is in District 54 out of Westmoreland County, and I have had the pleasure of meeting him actually in person. My counterpart with Audit the Vote PA, Karen Taylor, was able to secure a meeting with him one night on one of our Constitution classes where we were trying to get to know our representatives. And he came on, he was kind enough to give us some of his time, but then again, is that really kind when technically we're paying their salary? Should it be a big deal that they give us their time? No, they're kind of required to. So he came on our Constitution class and introduced himself. And this was after November 3rd, but before January 6th. I can't remember the exact date, but we were in the middle of craziness election fraud. I believe Representative Brooks was on one of the committees that had access to all of the numbers and the data and the irregularities that were coming out about the election. And when we asked him what he thought and what he would recommend we the people do in order to get things figured out, get to the truth of the 2020 election, his response was there widespread fraud? Nah, maybe a little bit here and there, but definitely not enough to flip the election. Supposedly Donald Trump lost by, what was it? I don't know how many million votes. There might have been 1 million fraudulent votes or so, but definitely not enough. No widespread fraud. Dead people vote all the time, but it's never really a whole lot. That was his response to us. So my question for my fellow board of directors, meaning citizens of the Commonwealth, is how much fraud are we okay with? Are we all of a sudden just supposed to expect that when dead people vote, or when mail-in ballots are sent out of state and miraculously show up, even though the person on the registration database doesn't live in Pennsylvania anymore, are we supposed to tolerate a certain amount of that? Is there like a threshold for that? Yeah, so I didn't think so, at least not in my mind. So Representative Brooks, he really needs to go. And I'm going to try to screen share with you. Let's see if I can figure this out without a total disaster. so that you can see him. I'd like to get a picture of him. Well, let me see if I can share my screen. Okay. Oh, you're looking at my YouTube. Okay. Do you guys see that? That is Representative Brooks. That is Mr. Bob Brooks, District 54, Westmoreland County. Representative Bob Brooks ran unopposed in the 2020 election, even in the primary. And so what we're going to have to do, Pennsylvania, regardless of party, by the way, let me make this very clear. I started out with a Republican. We're going to hit the Democrats too. This really is not a party issue. This is an American citizen issue. I consider myself a conservative constitutionalist, meaning that I am for those rights, regardless of whether or not you agree specifically with me. Freedom of speech is a right. You don't have to say something I agree with, but I will defend your right to say it. That's how we as Americans come together to save our country and preserve our republic. And that's what our founding fathers fought so hard to do. In fact, way back in the 17 and 1800s, there were even some, and I don't want to say the name because I'm going to screw it up, but there was one guy that actually the people wanted him gone. They wanted him out of Congress. It might have been John Quincy Adams, because he was an abolitionist, and that was in a very pro-slavery era. And he actually brought to the floor a petition against himself. Actually, yeah, I think it was him. So the people were petitioning to get rid of him. He was so adamant about making sure we protect our freedoms and the First Amendment right of free speech that he brought before the House floor a petition saying we need to get rid of John Quincy Adams. How crazy is that? That's how adamant he was about free speech, all the 5 freedoms in the First Amendment: freedom of religion, freedom to assemble, freedom to petition the government, and freedom of the press, so that there's no state-regulated press, which technically our press isn't necessarily regulated by the government, but if you follow the money and look how intertwined it is, it's just kind of hidden. So we don't really have that anymore. But so if you are in Westmoreland County in District 54, I recommend that you start looking for somebody who can run against Mr. Brooks in 2022. And I was also going to show you guys, if I can find it. Oh, there's my Facebook. I don't think anybody wants to see that. I was going to show you something else where you can even see how many votes he got. Oh, that's the next one. Oh, jumping ahead. Now you're seeing all my stuff. Maybe I don't have it right away. There is a way that you can look and see how he... Let's see here, District 54, Pennsylvania. We can get on Ballotpedia, there it is. And we can see how many votes Representative Brooks got in the last election. So let's take a look. I'm gonna scroll down. Let's see. Okay, presidential election race. As you can see, 2020 is right here. He ran unopposed. He got 30,446 votes in his district. So that's roughly how many people voted for him. And if you look back at the primary, this is the June 2nd primary, he only got 7,000 votes, 7,055 votes. So that is all it's going to take for somebody to run against him. If you can get more than roughly 7,000 people to vote for you in the primary, next time we have a primary election, because again, he ran unopposed, we can get rid of this guy and get somebody in there who actually fight for we the people. This goes back to 2018. It looks like he did run against somebody, but that looks like it was a Democrat, so must not have been a primary election where he was actually challenged. Oh, look at that. When was that? District 54 back in 2016. He actually had some challengers and apparently people gave up since then. But look at this. So back in 2016, when he ran and had Republican challengers, there was still only a total of 5,000 votes. 5,000 votes. However, if you could see in the presidential election, and this is how you start thinking about running for office and winning a campaign, the presidential election, there were 30,000 votes. Now that probably included a lot of fraudulent mail-in ballots, but let's just even say there were 20,000 votes. So that's how many you know that you need in order to compete for Representative Brooks's seat. Isn't that fun? Okay, we're going to do one more. The next one that I kind of already clicked over and showed you guys was Representative Eric Nelson. He is also in Westmoreland County. Why can't I find it? Where's he at? Now I can click on my YouTube. There we go. Representative Eric Nelson. He's another one that we need to replace. He has not been a very good employee, folks. He is District 57, also in Westmoreland County. And Eric Nelson, I have had the pleasure of connecting with via email. I have actually met him in person. He does not think an audit of the 2020 election is necessary. Through various emails, he communicated to me that the issue is the third-party money that was donated unequally in various parts of the state. Karen Taylor actually met with him on April 21st when we went to the Capitol to discuss maybe if we could get him on board on our side and if he was open to an audit of the 2020 election. Now, this guy is especially clever because he talks a really good game. You can ask him a question and he can sidestep it and talk you in circles and not actually get to the bottom of what it is that you're trying to ask him and still make himself sound somewhat intelligent. So he's a little extra slithery, I think. So after Karen met with him for, I don't know what it was, a half an hour, 45 minutes or so, she pretty much decided that yes, he needs to be on our to-go list. So again, District 57, Westmoreland County, let's look him up and see how many votes he got. Where's District 54 in Pennsylvania Ballotpedia? So now you guys can see how I even do my research. And folks, if you're thinking, well, this is just too much work, well, then you know what? You don't care about the future of our country. You need to put down the softball glove, turn off the TV, and start doing some real work, because this is how we save our republic. Oh, look at that. He got 28,000 votes. So that's the presidential election. Roughly, it looks like they both in that area got 30,000 votes. And I believe he ran unopposed as well in the primary. Yes, he did. 2018, there he is, June 2nd, 2020. Ran unopposed and got 7,000 votes. There it is, folks. Need 8,000 people to unseat these guys next time around when they're up for a primary. Let's see how he did in 2018. Did he even have any opponents? Oh, look at that. In 2018, he ran unopposed, 4,300 votes. Got to be kidding me. Nobody's even running against these guys. Come on. Good grief. Oh, look at that, campaign contributions. That's my favorite. I haven't really started getting into the money yet with any of these people. So when we do that, we're going to do a deep dive into finances for some of the extra special swamp critters. And we're going to be talking and reporting on that too. I think I'll stop the screen share now and get back to myself. So that's it, guys. Representative Bob Brooks and Representative Eric Nelson need to go. We need to start looking for candidates that will run against them in the 2022 primary. That's how we fix this. So I have enjoyed sharing on exposing the fraud. Oh, was there one more thing that I wanted to do? Maybe that was it. I was going to show you on my computer a list of some dead people who voted. But I don't know how long this recording is, and I didn't want to go super long. So if you like stuff like this, please look forward to this, because I plan to do a lot more of these. We have a lot more corruption, a lot more juicy stuff, a lot more fun stuff to expose, and this is how we're going to do it. So if you have not gone to our website yet, check it out. It is new. The new website is up. Please bear with us. I'm not a web developer, a web designer. I had help thanks to Behizzy connecting me with Populist Revolt. I was able to get some help, but I still did do the website by myself. So bear with us. There are some glitches and things don't look quite right. It is a work in progress, but auditthevotepA.com, please go there, check it out. There's different resources and we tried to make it more user-friendly. We're going to be adding more things into there. I'm going to be adding a section on becoming a committee man or a committee woman in your county, because that's how we make a difference on the local level. And we start cleaning up Pennsylvania as we need more good conservatives getting involved in their parties in their respective counties. And so I'm going to put information on the website that's going to talk to you about how to do that and get you connected in your county and start that process. What else? auditthevotepA.com. Sign the petition, share the petition. We're getting close to 60,000 signatures. This upcoming week is going to be really good. I was on the phone with some representatives, senators, staff members this past week. We're going to start breaking out the signatures in terms of districts and counties, because there is a committee right now that is formed that is looking at doing a full forensic audit of the 2020 election. And in order to persuade anybody that does not think it is necessary, although I still will not understand how they can think it's necessary after all the data we've shown them. Throw out a couple of stats. After November 3rd, there were 300,000 people taken off of our voter rolls after November 3rd. Mind you, I have the current voter roll database as early as May the 3rd, I believe, when it was actually pulled and printed, and there are still plenty of dead people in there. So what were the 300,000 people that were removed right after November 3rd? And when there's still dead people on there? Well, Tony, how do you know someone's dead? Do you think it's possible to be alive in 1916? Guinness Book of World Records, anybody? I don't think so. So we know that there are still illegitimate things going on with our voter rolls. In fact, here's another fun tidbit for you. At the end of December, our SURE system, a lot of people have been asking me, what's the SURE? That's called the SURE system. That is our electronic voter roll database. They scrubbed that at the end of December after a lot of our representatives and senators saw that there were third-party organizations that had access to our electronic database. Third-party organizations like Rock the Vote and the Clinton Foundation and 30 of their partner organizations. There was a right to know request filed against the state, and that's how they found that out. In that right to know request, however, this is really interesting. There's one name that was redacted in that right to know request. One name had access to those voter rolls that somebody doesn't want getting out. So I'm sure someone knows that. We got to figure out how we can get our hands on that information. I'll let you know if I do and I'm able to make it public. But since that came out, the government decided they're going to scrub everything. They're going to build a new electronic voter roll database. They're going to hire a different company, and that's what they did. At the end of December, we found somebody that tracked down a government contract that actually found this and has it on paper. All the stuff we need to back it up. $10 million they paid, $10 million to build a new database of electronic voter rolls. Isn't that sound like a good idea? Let's keep something electronic that was already able to be messed with and hacked once. Let's definitely not think about going back to paper rolls. Let's spend $10 million to fix it. Oh, that's my other favorite thing nowadays when people say election reform. What's his name? Eric Nelson was really good at that. We're going to reform. We're going to pass serious election reform laws. I have a question. If you didn't follow the law that was already in place in 2020, which they didn't, plenty of evidence of it, totally didn't even follow the law they already have, what good is going to be passing new laws? Anybody? No? Okay, that's what I thought too. So where was I going with that? My famous brain fart. Where was I going with that? Oh, the voter roll database. Yes. $10 million, hired a new company. That company was then sold to another company shortly thereafter, and the person that currently owns the voter roll database in the state of Pennsylvania is none other than Mark Zuckerberg. Woohoo! So the original guy who dumped a ton of money all throughout our state, completely unequally in terms of where they wanted to swing the election, because they were saving us from Donald Trump. They didn't meddle in the election or do anything illegal. They just fortified it, according to Time magazine. That's completely legit, right? No, not really. So that guy, that same guy bought the new company that Pennsylvania legislators contracted out to build us a new database. So are you comfortable and confident that security of our election system is going to be A-okay moving forward? Me neither. auditthevotepa.com. Share it, spread it. We're going to be doing interviews, traveling all over the state and exposing the corruption and the data and exposing every politician that is not behind us, and free and transparent elections in the next coming weeks. That's going to be our main focus. And the stuff that is going to come out that we're going to be able to make public is going to blow your mind. Blow your mind. Pretty soon, the only people that are going to be able to say that this was completely free and fair are going to be ones whose head is in the sand or they're living under a rock. So that is it for Expose the Fraud. I will see you guys again the next time.